Have you ever wondered why some men can walk into a room and instantly capture a woman's attention, while others struggle just to be noticed? What is it about certain men that makes women naturally drawn to them, thinking about them even when they're not around? If you've ever asked yourself this question, then stay with me until the very end of this video, because what I'm about to share with you are 7 psychological tricks rooted in the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and Stoic philosophy that can make a woman obsessed with you, not through manipulation, but through presence, mastery, and self-command. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel, tap that like button, and most importantly, watch this video until the very end, because what you'll discover here could completely transform your love life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Now think about that in the context of relationships. Many men believe they need to impress women with money, status, or looks. But the truth is, what really captures a woman's soul is not the external, but the internal. It's how you think, how you carry yourself, and how you project an energy that pulls her in like gravity. Today, I'll take you on a journey through 7 powerful psychological principles. Each one is timeless, practical, and proven to spark desire in a woman's heart. Not in a superficial way, but in a way that makes her obsessed with the man you are becoming. 1. Controlled mystery. Think back to the very first time you fell for someone. Maybe your first crush. Maybe the first girl you couldn't get out of your head. Do you remember how exciting it felt? Not because you knew everything about her, but because you didn't. Every word she spoke, every glance she gave, left you wondering, who is she really? What's behind that smile? That's the essence of mystery, and mystery is one of the most powerful psychological forces in attraction. Here's the thing. Many men think that to win a woman's heart, they have to pour everything out on the table. They talk endlessly about their life, their plans, their possessions, their achievements. But the truth? That kills attraction faster than anything else. Why? Because the moment you make yourself completely predictable, her mind stops working. There's nothing left for her to imagine, nothing left for her to explore. And you've heard this before. People value most what they have to earn. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The secret of all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious." Think about that. True power lies not in what is shown openly, but in what remains just out of reach. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, there was a man who was not the richest, not the most handsome, not the loudest in the room. But women were always drawn to him. Why? Because he never revealed everything at once. He would smile. He would share pieces of his life, but always just enough to make you want to know more. When someone asked about his past, he'd give a hint, a little glimpse, and then change the subject with a knowing grin. And the effect was hypnotic. Women couldn't stop thinking, what else is there? What hasn't he told me? Now ask yourself, have you ever been in a relationship where you revealed too much too soon? Did you notice how quickly the excitement faded? That's because you killed the mystery. Mystery works like fire. If you dump all the wood at once, the flames suffocate. But if you add pieces slowly, the fire keeps burning. The same applies to attraction. Reveal yourself in layers, not all at once. So how do you create this sense of mystery without playing games? It's simple. First, don't rush to explain yourself. If she asks about your weekend, don't list every detail. Share one meaningful highlight and leave the rest unsaid. Second, let silence work for you. Most men fear silence, but silence makes her lean in, wondering what you're thinking. Third, never overshare out of nervousness. Remember, calm restraint is more attractive than nervous chatter. Here's the psychology. When you leave gaps in your story, her imagination fills them in. And her imagination, fueled by curiosity, is far more powerful than anything you could say. So the next time you're with a woman you like, don't rush to give her the full book. Hand her the first chapter. Let her taste the story, and trust me, she'll be dying to read the rest. 2. Emotional self-control. Do you remember a time when you lost your temper with someone you loved? Maybe it was jealousy, maybe it was anger, maybe it was just frustration boiling over. Think about it. What happened afterward? Did that outburst bring you closer, or did it push her away? Most men, if they're honest, have been there. We've all said things in the heat of the moment that we regret later. But here's the truth. Every time you lose control of your emotions, you lose a little piece of respect. And without respect, love cannot survive. Marcus Aurelius gave us a lesson that every man needs to tattoo on his heart. You have power over your mind, not outside events, Realize this and you will find strength. Think about that carefully. You cannot control what she says. You cannot control how she acts. But you can always control how you respond. That response is what separates a boy from a man, and an ordinary man from one a woman can't stop thinking about. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine once dated a woman who would test him constantly. She'd say little things to provoke him, sometimes even flirt in front of others just to see his reaction. Most men would explode with jealousy, but he didn't. He stayed calm, smiled, and carried himself with quiet confidence. Later, she admitted she wasn't even interested in those other guys. She was just testing if he was strong enough to handle her fire, and because he passed, she became obsessed with him. That's the psychology of women. When you show that you are not easily shaken, she feels safe. She feels like you're a rock she can lean on when her own emotions are storming. Women crave stability, and emotional control is the deepest form of stability a man can offer. Now I want you to imagine two men. The first one gets angry when she doesn't text back, accusing her, demanding answers. The second man, instead of reacting, simply continues his day, focused on his mission. Who do you think she'll respect more? Who do you think she'll miss when he's not around? It's obvious, the one who controls himself. And here's a little challenge for you. The next time you feel jealousy rising, or anger bubbling up, take a breath, pause. Remind yourself of Marcus Aurelius's words, "You have power over your mind." Then respond not with weakness, not with rage, but with calm strength. That moment of control will change everything. She'll see you differently. She'll realize this man cannot be shaken. This man cannot be manipulated. This man is rare, and rare men are unforgettable. Rare men are the ones women become obsessed with. For the confidence of purpose. When you wake up in the morning, do you know why you're getting out of bed? Not just for money, not just for survival, but for something greater. Because here's a hard truth. A man without purpose is like a ship without a rudder. He drifts wherever the waves push him, and women can sense it. They can feel when a man is lost, uncertain, and living only for the approval of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Stop wandering about. You aren't likely to read your own notebooks again, so be done with it. Concentrate every minute, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. In other words, stop drifting. Anchor yourself in purpose. Think about the men you admire most, whether it's a great leader, a historical figure, or maybe even a mentor in your own life. What makes them attractive isn't just charm or looks. It's that they live for something bigger than themselves. They walk with clarity, with direction, with fire in their eyes, and that fire is magnetic. Let me share a story. There was a man I once knew who wasn't particularly tall, rich, or traditionally handsome, but he had this unshakable sense of mission. He was building his own business, he had clear goals, and every time you spoke to him, you could feel the determination in his voice. Women were drawn to him, not because of what he had in the moment, but because of the man he was becoming. They wanted to be part of his journey. That's the secret. Purpose creates gravity. When you're chasing your goals, you stop chasing people. And when you stop chasing, people start chasing you. Now think about your own life. Have you ever noticed how much more attractive you feel when you're locked into your grind, focused on building something meaningful? It's like women can sense it. Your confidence rises, your energy shifts, your presence sharpens. You stop being needy because you're too busy living. Here's the psychology. Women are naturally wired to admire men who know where they're going. It's not about already being successful. It's about moving with direction. When you're on a path, she looks at you and wonders, can I walk beside him? Can I be part of his story? So here's my challenge to you. Stop making women your mission. Stop making approval your purpose. Instead, define your path. Whether it's your career, your art, your fitness, or your spiritual growth, choose something that matters and pursue it relentlessly. Because when you have purpose, you don't need to prove yourself. Your life speaks for you. And that confidence of purpose is what makes women not just admire you, but become obsessed with you. 4. Strategic detachment. Have you ever cared so much about someone that you started to lose yourself in the process? Maybe you texted her all day, waited for her replies, felt uneasy if she didn't call back. And when she pulled away even just a little, you felt like your world was falling apart. We've all been there. And the more you cling, the faster she drifts. Why does this happen? Because human psychology is wired this way. What's too available feels less valuable. Marcus Aurelius once said, If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Think about that. When she doesn't reply, the pain you feel isn't caused by the silence, it's caused by the meaning you attach to it. And that meaning comes from attachment. Too much attachment makes you lose control. That's why we need strategic detachment. Now, don't get me wrong. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're cold or heartless. It means you are rooted in yourself. You can enjoy her presence without being enslaved by it. You can love her deeply, but still walk away if she disrespects your values. That balance is rare and it's powerful. Let me share a story. I knew a man who fell head over heels for a woman. At first, things were magical, but soon he started making her his entire world. He dropped his hobbies, neglected his friends, and lived only for her approval. And what happened? She lost interest. Not because she didn't like him, but because he stopped being the man she was attracted to in the first place. Contrast this with another man I knew, quiet, grounded, and purpose-driven. He loved his woman, treated her well, but he never lost himself. He still pursued his passions, still valued his time, and didn't crumble when she pulled away. Guess what? She was the one chasing him. Because his detachment made her feel both free and fascinated. Here's the psychology. Women are drawn to men who don't need them to survive, emotionally. When you're fine with or without her, she feels the weight of your strength. And paradoxically, she wants you even more. So how can you practice strategic detachment? 3 simple ways. 1. Keep your identity. Don't drop your goals, hobbies, and friends for her. 2. Control your response. If she pulls back, don't panic. Stay calm, live your life, and let her come to you. 3. Value your presence. Remember, your attention is a gift, not something to be begged for. Women don't obsess over men who give them everything instantly. They obsess over men who love them deeply, but never lose themselves in the process. That's strategic detachment. Love her, but don't need her. Desire her, but don't depend on her. Be willing to walk away, and she'll want to walk closer. 5. The art of listening. Have you ever sat with someone, poured your heart out, and realized halfway through that they weren't really listening? Maybe they were nodding. Maybe they said, a few times. But their eyes were somewhere else. How did it make you feel? Small, invisible, unimportant? Now flip that around. Think about the one person who truly listened to you, who looked you in the eye, absorbed your words, and made you feel like what you said mattered. Didn't it feel magnetic? Almost unforgettable? That's the power of listening. And most men don't realize it. But for women, it's one of the most intoxicating psychological triggers. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Listen kindly to the person who objects. Don't respond with a harsh word. Listen, and then show him where he hasn't seen things correctly." The Stoics knew this truth. Real listening isn't about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about being fully present, suspending judgment, and stepping into the other person's world. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who wasn't the most charming in a group, but women were always drawn to him. Why? Because he listened. While other men tried to impress with jokes, loud stories, or showing off, he leaned in, asked thoughtful questions, and remembered the little things they said. Weeks later, he would bring up a detail she mentioned casually, and she would look at him with astonishment. "Wow, you remembered that?" That one moment of feeling seen is often more powerful than months of flattery. Now let me ask you, how many times in your own relationships have you listened just to reply, instead of listening to truly understand? It's not a judgment, it's human nature. But here's the secret. Women are starved for men who can listen deeply, because most don't. The psychology behind it is simple. When you listen with genuine attention, you create emotional safety. And when a woman feels safe, she opens up. And when she opens up, she bonds. And when she bonds, she becomes obsessed, not with the man who talks the most, but with the man who makes her feel most understood. Here's how you master the art of listening. 1. Be present. Put your phone away. Make eye contact. Show her she has your full attention. 2. Ask better questions. Instead of, "How was your day?" try, "What was the best part of your day?" It invites depth. 3. Echo her emotions. If she says, "I had such a stressful day," don't jump in with advice. Say, "That sounds exhausting, tell me more." Listening isn't passive, it's active. It's an act of love, respect, and strength. So here's the challenge. The next time you're with her, stop trying to impress with your words. Instead, impress with your silence, your curiosity, and your attention. Because women don't forget men who truly hear them. They cling to them. They think about them. They obsess over them. Cork presence over performance. Have you ever been with someone who made you feel like you weren't really there? Maybe they kept checking their phone while you were talking, or their eyes wandered around the room when you were trying to share something important. How did it make you feel? Probably small, unvalued, forgettable. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine sitting with someone who gives you their full attention, who looks at you as if you're the only person in the world at that moment. No phone, no distractions, just pure presence. Doesn't that feel magnetic? That's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "Confine yourself to the present." He wasn't just talking about life in general. He was speaking about the essence of connection. To be fully present with someone is to give them a gift rarer than gold in today's distracted world. Here's the truth. Too many men think they have to perform to win a woman over. They crack endless jokes, exaggerate stories, or try too hard to impress, but performance fades. Presence, on the other hand, lingers. Let me tell you a story. I once knew a man who wasn't flashy at all. He wasn't the loudest in the room, nor did he try to dominate conversations. But whenever he was with someone, whether it was a friend, a colleague, or a woman, he gave them his undivided attention. He listened, responded thoughtfully, and looked them in the eye. Women were drawn to him, not because of what he did, but because of how he made them feel. And the feeling was simple, important. Psychologically, presence tells a woman, you matter. You are valued. You are rare. And when she feels that way around you, she'll keep coming back, not because you entertained her, but because you made her feel alive in your company. Think back to your own love story or relationships. Wasn't it those moments when she felt like the world disappeared, and it was just the two of you, that really sealed the connection? That wasn't performance. That was presence. So how do you practice this? 1. Eliminate distractions. When you're with her, put your phone away. Turn it upside down if it's on the table. Show her she is your priority. 2. Focus on her energy. Notice her tone, her body language, her emotions, not just her words. 3. Slow down. Don't rush to respond. Take a breath, let her finish, then reply with intention. The paradox is this. When you stop trying to impress and instead give her presence, you become unforgettable. Because in a world full of noise, presence is rare, and rarity breeds obsession. So the next time you're with a woman, stop performing. Just be grounded. Be present, and watch how she becomes drawn to you. Not for the show you put on, but for the man you truly are in the silence between the words. Authentic vulnerability. Have you ever tried so hard to look strong, to keep your armor on, only to realize that the woman in front of you was craving not your perfection, but your humanity? Think back for a second. Was there ever a moment when you shared something raw about yourself? Maybe a fear, maybe a childhood memory, or maybe even a failure. And instead of judging you, she leaned in closer. That, my friend, is the power of authentic vulnerability. Most men get it wrong. They think vulnerability means weakness. They confuse opening up with losing control. But Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Authenticity and truth are not weaknesses. They're forms of courage. Because let's face it, it's easy to hide behind masks. It's easy to put on an act of being the tough guy or the cool, unshakable man. What's hard is to show a woman who you truly are without the fear of losing her admiration. Let me tell you a story. There was a man, let's call him Daniel. On paper, he had everything: good looks, money, and charm. Women liked him, but none of them ever stayed. Why? Because every time he got close to someone, he kept a wall around his heart. He was always on, always performing. The problem was no one could ever truly see him. And here's the truth. Women don't fall in love with the perfect man. They fall in love with the real man. One day, Daniel met a woman who changed everything. Instead of trying to impress her, one night he admitted something vulnerable. How he once felt abandoned in a past relationship. How it shaped his fears about love. He expected her to laugh or pull away. Instead, she looked at him and said, "That makes me trust you more. Because you're real." For the first time, he didn't have to perform. And that's when she became obsessed with him. Not because of his perfection, but because of his authenticity. Here's the trick. Vulnerability doesn't mean spilling every insecurity or being overly emotional. No, it means choosing to share the right truths at the right time. It's saying, this is who I am and I'm not afraid to be seen. That level of courage creates a magnetic pull. Women feel safe with a man who isn't pretending, because it gives them permission to be real too. So ask yourself, are you always trying to look flawless? Or are you willing to let her see the cracks in your armor? Remember, a mask might attract her for a while, but only your true self will keep her. Authentic vulnerability is not about losing power, it's about gaining deeper connection. And once a woman feels that connection, she won't just want you, she'll fight to keep you. With that said, let's move to the conclusion. Closing. Remember, these are not gimmicks. These are timeless principles, tested by Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, and they still hold power today. If you apply them, not just with women, but in every area of your life, you'll notice a shift. You'll become the kind of man women don't just like, they remember, they admire, and yes, they obsess over. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.